At 13, my dad beat me and threw me out into a blizzard after believing my brother's lies. I crashed at my friend's place until my mom came back the next day, found out what happened, and burned their whole world down. Hey Reddit, I was 13 when my dad beat me unconscious over a lie and threw me into a blizzard. But I'm jumping ahead. Let me back up. Name's Hunter, 18 male. From the outside, my family looked normal. Dad ran a body shop in Lansing, Michigan. Came home every night smelling like paint thinner and testosterone, going on about how hard he worked. Mom did bookkeeping for 3 small businesses, kept the bills paid, kept food on the table. My older brother Damon was 17 and had somehow convinced everyone he was God's gift to humanity. Then there was me. Decent enough grades, kept quiet, played drums in the basement. I wasn't causing problems or asking for much, just existing in the background. Damon and I used to get along when we were younger. We'd ride bikes to the gas station for slushies, play video games, normal brother stuff. But around the time I hit middle school, he figured out his special talent. He could lie straight to Dad's face and get believed every single time. It started small, missing $20 from Dad's wallet. Damon says he saw me near their bedroom. I get grounded for 2 weeks, a dent in Dad's truck. Damon swears he watched me throw a baseball near the driveway. Another month without my phone. The pattern was so obvious, I started writing it down in a notebook I kept under my mattress. Things got worse as Damon figured out he could get away with anything. Scratched his name into the basement wall with a screwdriver. Told Dad I did it trying to be funny. I spent 3 weekends repainting the entire basement as punishment. Broke Mom's laptop by spilling soda on it. Said he saw me using it without permission. I lost computer privileges for 6 months. And so on. And whenever I tried to defend myself, I'd get yelled at. They wouldn't believe me. I documented everything. Dates, what happened, what punishment I got. By the time I turned 13, I had 42 entries. 42 times Damon had thrown me under the bus and skated away clean. I'd stopped defending myself. What was the point? Dad had already decided I was the screw-up who needed constant correction. Mom saw it happening. I'd catch her watching sometimes when Dad would go off on me over something Damon blamed me for. She'd get this look, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Or maybe she was scared. Either way, she'd tell me later to just let it go. Be the bigger person. Don't make waves. So I took it. Every accusation, every punishment, every time Damon smirked at me from across the room while Dad tore into me, I endured it all. Dad had always been rough. He'd shove me into walls when he was mad, grab the back of my neck hard enough to leave marks, get in my face and scream until spit flew. Mom would tell him to calm down, but she never actually stopped him. And Damon learned from the best. He'd shove me around when Dad wasn't looking, knowing I wouldn't fight back, because then I'd be the one who got in trouble for starting something. The week everything exploded started in mid-December. That brutal Michigan winter where it's dark by 4 p.m. and the cold goes straight through your bones. School was whatever. I was learning this complicated drum piece for the winter concert, spending most of my time in the basement practicing. Damon had been acting sketchy that whole week, more secretive than usual, locking his door constantly, clearing his phone every 5 minutes. I figured he was dealing or had some girl he was hiding. Either way, I didn't care. Mom had driven 4 hours north to Grand Rapids the previous Sunday. Her mom, my grandma Sophia, had pneumonia and wasn't doing great. The doctors said it was serious given her age and other health problems. Mom planned to stay the whole week, maybe longer depending on how things went. She'd left the freezer stocked, written out instructions, told Dad to keep things together while she was gone. That left me alone with Dad and Damon for 7 days. The house felt more tense without Mom there. Dad had been stressed about the shop. Some big insurance job had gone sideways, and he was worried about getting paid. That meant he came home angry every night, looking for something to unload on. I made myself invisible, ate dinner fast, did my homework in the basement, stayed out of his path. Then Thursday night happened. I got home from school around 3:45, dropped my backpack by the stairs, grabbed some crackers from the kitchen, headed straight down to the basement. I had maybe 2 hours before Dad got back. Planned to use every second practicing. I was maybe 30 minutes into the drum piece when I heard Dad's truck in the driveway. Way too early. Then I heard my name. Not called, roared. The kind of volume that makes your chest tighten. I set my drumsticks down and headed upstairs. Dad was in the living room, face purple. Damon sat on the couch doing his best wounded victim impression. And there on the coffee table was Grandpa's watch. My dead Grandpa's watch. The one Dad kept in a locked box in his closet. The Omega Seamaster his father had worn for 40 years before dying of a heart attack 3 years ago. The watch he said was worth $6 grand and would never be touched by anyone. The watch that was now sitting on the table with the crystal, completely shattered. The band twisted, the whole thing looking like someone had taken a hammer to it. The second I walked in, he started. "You think you can steal from me? Break something that belonged to my father?" His hand was already clenched into a fist. I stared at the watch, genuinely confused. "Dad, I didn't touch that. I haven't been in your room." "Don't lie to me." Dad's voice was flat. "Damon saw you sneaking out of our bedroom yesterday after school, and now look at it. Destroyed." "That didn't happen. I was in the basement all yesterday. Ask anyone." "There's no one to ask. Your mother's gone. It's just us." And Damon saw what he saw. I looked at Damon, waiting for him to correct this, to admit he was lying. He stared at the floor, biting his lip like he was trying not to cry. "Come on, tell him the truth." Damon looked up with these big wounded eyes. "I saw what I saw, Hunter. You were coming out of their room with something in your hand. I asked what you were doing, and you told me to shut up and mind my business. That's complete garbage. I was never in their room. I haven't touched that watch. Why would I even want it? Because you're jealous, and you took something precious to hurt me." Dad's logic didn't even track, but he wasn't operating on logic. He was operating on rage and the assumption that I was always at fault. "Get upstairs. You're confined to your room until I figure out what to do with you." I tried arguing, tried explaining that I had zero reason to take the watch, that Damon was lying just like he'd lied. Dad wasn't hearing it. He grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise and shoved me toward the stairs. I spent Thursday night sitting on my bed, trying to figure out how Damon had pulled this off. The watch had been locked in Dad's closet, which meant he had either picked the lock or stolen the key. He'd taken it, smashed it, then set me up to take the fall. And Dad bought it without question. The watch was everything to Dad. It was the last piece of his father he had, and Damon had destroyed it just to frame me. And there was nothing I could do about it, because nobody in this house believed a word I said. Friday was worse. I wasn't allowed to leave my room except for bathroom breaks. No phone, no drums, no leaving the house. Dad made me stay home from school. I sat there all day listening to him downstairs, his voice getting louder every hour. He called the insurance company about the watch, called a jeweler about repairs. Each conversation seemed to make him angrier. Damon played his role perfectly. I'd hear him downstairs being the helpful son, offering to make Dad lunch, asking if there was anything he could do. Dad ate it up, told him he was grateful to have at least one son he could count on. I wanted to scream, wanted to grab Dad and shake him until he saw what was right in front of his face. But I'd learned a long time ago that getting emotional just made things worse. So I sat there, waiting for the hammer to drop. Saturday afternoon, I was lying on my bed when I heard Dad's voice outside my room. "Get down here, now!" I walked downstairs. He was in the kitchen with Damon. "I called your mother, told her what you did. You know what she said?" I didn't respond. "She said there's no way you'd do something like that. Said Damon must be lying." He paused, letting that hang. "She took your side over mine. While her mother's dying 4 hours away, she's defending you." Something in his expression shifted. "I spent $65 getting this appraised. Know what they told me? It's totaled. Can't be fixed. $6,000 of sentimental value, gone." His voice dropped. "The jeweler said someone took a hammer to it. Multiple strikes. Deliberate. Said whoever did it wanted it destroyed. I didn't do it." Dad moved fast, grabbed the front of my shirt, slammed me back against the refrigerator hard enough that my head bounced off the metal. "Don't you dare lie to my face." Damon stood there watching, not even pretending to be upset. Dad's grip tightened. "You're going to pay me back. Every cent. I don't care how long it takes. You're going to work. You're going to hand over every dollar you make, and maybe in 10 years you'll have learned your lesson. I can't pay for something I didn't break." Wrong answer. What happened next is kind of a blur. Dad's first hit caught me across the face. Open palm, hard enough my ears rang. I tasted copper immediately. Tried to stay standing, but my legs weren't cooperating. My vision went spotty. The kitchen floor came up fast. Then he was on me. Fists now, not slapping. The first one caught me in the ribs. Something cracked. Couldn't breathe. Second hit landed in my stomach. Third got my face again. I curled up, tried to protect my head. Useless. He grabbed my hair, yanked me up by it, roots tearing, threw me against the cabinets. The handle caught my spine. More hits. Lost count. My mouth filled with blood. Swallowed some, spat the rest. One of my teeth felt loose. Dad was breathing hard, grunting with each hit like he was working out. I stopped trying to protect myself and just went limp. Damon was still standing there, watching. His phone was out. For a second, I thought he was recording. Then Dad hit me again, and everything went sideways. I don't know how long it lasted. Could have been 30 seconds or 5 minutes. Everything blurred together. When Dad finally stepped back, I was on the floor trying to remember how breathing worked. Every inhale felt like knives in my ribs. Get out! Dad's voice was cold now. Controlled. Get out of my house! I managed to push myself up to sitting. My face felt like it was on fire. There was blood on my shirt. My ribs screamed every time I breathed. Did you hear me? Get out! It's snowing! Like that mattered. Should have thought of that before you destroyed my father's watch. You're not welcome here anymore. Take whatever you can carry and leave. I looked at Damon. He was smiling. Then I pulled myself up using the counter. Everything hurt, but nothing felt broken. Small miracles. Dad followed me upstairs to my room, stood in the doorway while I grabbed my backpack. I stuffed in some clothes, my phone charger, the notebook where I documented all of Damon's lies. My hands were shaking. Move faster! I grabbed my jacket and my drumsticks. Stupid thing to take, but they felt important. Some piece of myself I wasn't leaving behind. Dad walked me to the front door, opened it. The cold hit like a punch. There was already 3 inches of snow on the ground and more coming down heavy. Don't come back. You're not my son anymore. He shoved me out onto the porch and slammed the door. I heard the deadbolt click. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, trying to process what had just happened. My ribs screamed with each breath. Then survival kicked in. Move or freeze to death. Those were my options. My best friend Leo lived 8 blocks away. Might as well have been 8 miles. I started walking. The snow was coming down sideways now. Wind cutting through my jacket like I was wearing paper. Every step sent pain shooting through my ribs. I kept one arm wrapped around my torso, trying to hold everything together. Cars passed. Nobody stopped. Just another kid walking in a blizzard on a Saturday night. Nothing to see here. Block 2. I started shaking. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Block 3, I almost turned around. Almost went back and begged Dad to let me in. But I kept walking. As I reached Block 6, I stopped and leaned against a mailbox. Thought I might puke. Dizzy. Everything spinning. My vision kept tunneling. Breathe, I told myself. Just breathe. But breathing hurt and I was so tired. Wanted to sit down in the snow just for a minute. Rest. That's how you die, I thought. People freeze to death because they sit down to rest. I pushed off the mailbox. 2 more blocks. I could do 2 more blocks. Had to. Leo's house appeared through the snow like a lighthouse. I stumbled up the driveway and hammered on the door with numb fists. Leo's dad, Carl, answered, took one look at me, and his expression went from confused to furious in about half a second. Holy crap! He pulled me inside. Leo, get your mother! Now! I collapsed on their hallway floor. Everything went kind of fuzzy after that. I woke up on Leo's couch with a blanket over me. Leo's mom, Amy, was sitting in a chair nearby, watching me like she was afraid I might die. Hey! Her voice was soft when she saw my eyes open. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. Carl wants to call the police, but we wanted to wait until you woke up. What happened, Hunter? So I told them. All of it. Amy's expression got harder with each detail. When I finished, she stood up and left the room. I heard her talking to Carl in the kitchen. His voice got louder. Angrier. Carl came back in. Big guy. Construction worker. Hands like sledgehammers. Here's what's going to happen. First, we're calling the police and filing a report. What your father did is assault. Second, you're staying here as long as you need. Third, Amy's going to take pictures of your injuries. We're going to write down exactly what happened with dates and times. If your dad tries to come here, I'm pressing charges. He paused. And if he shows up, he's dealing with me first. You don't have to do all that. Yeah, we do. Because what happened is abuse. And I'm not letting you go back there. The police showed up around 8 p.m. 2 officers, a man and a woman. The woman sat with me while I gave my statement. She took pictures of my face, my ribs where bruises were already forming, my split lip, asked questions about past incidents. I told her about the pattern of accusations, showed her my notebook with all the documentation. Has your father hit you before? He's shoved me around, grabbed me, stuff like that. But never like this. And your mother? Where is she? Visiting her sick mom in Grand Rapids. She doesn't know any of this happened yet. The officers talked to Carl and Amy for a while. Then they left, saying they'd file the report and someone from CPS would likely be in touch. Carl made me soup. Amy got me some of Leo's old clothes since mine were bloodstained. Leo sat with me playing video games like everything was normal, which I appreciated more than I could say. That night, I lay on their couch, staring at the ceiling. My body hurt, my face throbbed, but mostly I felt empty, like someone had scooped out my insides and left just the shell. My phone buzzed around 11 p.m. Dad, 37 missed calls, 16 texts, all variations of "get back here now" or "you're going to regret this." I blocked his number and went to sleep. Sunday morning, Carl drove me to the emergency clinic. The doctor confirmed no broken bones but some bruised ribs and a minor concussion. She documented everything for the police report, asked me if I felt safe. I told her I was staying with Leo's family. We need to contact your mother. She's dealing with her dying mom. I don't want to add this to her plate right now. But Carl called Mom anyway, explained the situation. I could hear her voice through the phone, rising with each sentence. Carl handed me his phone. "Hunter." Her voice was shaking. "Tell me what happened. All of it." So I did. The watch, the accusations, the beating, everything. When I finished, there was silence on the other end. Then I heard her crying. "I'm coming home. Right now. Grandma needs you. You need me more. I'll be there in 4 hours. Stay with Carl and Amy. Don't go anywhere near that house." She hung up. I handed the phone back to Carl. Mom pulled into Leo's driveway at 2:40 p.m. Her car door slammed hard enough I heard it from inside the house. She came through Leo's front door looking ready to destroy something. Grabbed me, looked at my face, and her expression went absolutely cold. She turned to Carl and Amy. "Thank you for taking care of my son. I need to borrow your phone. Mine's been blowing up and I need to make some calls without being interrupted." Amy handed over her phone without question. Mom stepped into the kitchen and started dialing. I could hear pieces of the conversations. Her divorce lawyer. "Yeah, I need to file immediately. Grounds are spousal abandonment of parental duties and child endangerment." Then other calls I couldn't hear well. She was on the phone for 90 minutes straight. When she finally came back into the living room, she looked like someone who just finished planning something big. "Here's what's happening. I filed for divorce. I filed for emergency custody of you. Your father's about to find out what happens when you mess with my kid." "Mom, no. I've been making excuses for him for years. I told you to be the bigger person because I was too scared to fight back. But he put his hands on you. That ends now." She sat down next to me, gentler now. "I should have protected you. I should have seen what Damon was doing and stopped it. I should have stood up to your father years ago. I'm sorry, Hunter, but I promise you, I'm making this right." "What about Grandma?" "My sister's with her. She's stable for now. But you're my priority. You've always been my priority, even when I didn't show it right." The next week was chaotic. Pure, organized chaos led by my mother, who turned out to be way scarier than I'd ever imagined. She moved into a hotel with me, didn't even go back to the house, just checked us into a Holiday Inn and started making calls. Her lawyer was this woman named Ruth, who looked like someone's sweet grandmother but talked like a mob boss. She walked Mom through every step of completely dismantling Dad's life. First was the emergency custody hearing. We went before a judge the following Wednesday, 4 days after the incident. The police report helped. The medical documentation helped. My notebook documenting years of Damon's lies and Dad's reactions helped. The judge took one look at the photos of my face and granted Mom temporary full custody on the spot. Dad wasn't even there. Then came asset division. Michigan's a no-fault divorce state, but child abuse changes things. Ruth filed motions for everything. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, Dad's retirement fund, all of it. She was ruthless. Mom showed me the numbers one night in the hotel room. "Your father and I built that life together. I worked just as many hours as him, and he used our shared assets to fund a house where my child got abused. So yeah, I'm taking half of everything. And the house. And primary custody. What about Damon? He's 17, old enough to choose. If he wants to stay with your father, that's on him. But he's not coming near you again." The legal process moved as fast as Michigan law allowed. Ruth pushed for expedited hearings due to the domestic violence documentation. Within 2 weeks, temporary orders were in place, freezing joint accounts and preventing Dad from selling or transferring assets. The house couldn't be sold or refinanced without both signatures, but Mom had exclusive use while the divorce was pending. Ruth had prepared everything like a military strike. Every account, every asset, every shared piece of property. All of it documented, frozen, or placed under temporary orders before Dad even understood what was happening. 3 weeks after the incident, Mom drove to the house during the day when she knew Dad would be at work. Told me to wait in the car. I watched through the windshield as she unlocked the door, walked in, and emerged 20 minutes later with 3 garbage bags of my stuff. Clothes, my drums, my books, everything I'd left behind. Dad's truck wasn't in the driveway. She didn't even have to face him. We're not going back there. I'm finding us an apartment. Something small. We'll start over. What about Dad and Damon? They can figure it out. I'm done protecting people who hurt my kid. The new apartment was quiet, clean, safe. I had my own room, my own space. No one barging in to accuse me of things I didn't do. Mom worked from home most days now, keeping an eye on me while I healed. The bruises faded. The ribs stopped hurting. But I couldn't stop thinking about Damon. He'd destroyed Grandpa's watch, framed me for it, watched Dad beat me bloody, smiled while I got thrown out into a blizzard, and he was still at that house, living his life, probably telling everyone I was the problem. Leo came over one Saturday in January. We were in my room playing video games when I brought it up. I need to deal with Damon. He paused the game. What do you mean? I mean, he needs to face consequences. Not just me leaving, not just Mom divorcing Dad. What are you thinking? I pulled out my notebook, the one with all my documentation. I still have all of this. What if there's more? What if he's doing the same thing at school? Leo got this look, like he was remembering something. Dude, you know how Damon's grades are always perfect? Yeah, honor roll every semester, even though I never see him studying. I started asking around, carefully. Found kids at the high school who knew Damon. Started hearing things. How Damon always seemed to know when tests were coming. How his grades were weirdly consistent. How he'd offered to help a few kids boost their marks for cash. Then I caught a break. Leo's older cousin Lana was a junior at the high school. She'd seen Damon in the computer lab during free periods, always at the same terminal in the back corner. Always cleared the browser history when he left. I needed proof, the kind that couldn't be explained away. Lana agreed to help. She'd noticed the pattern too and thought Damon was shady. We planned it for a Tuesday afternoon. Lana would go to the computer lab during the same free period as Damon. She'd position herself at a computer across from him, phone hidden in her textbook, recording. The first attempt failed. Damon never showed. Second attempt, he showed but didn't use the grading portal. Third time was the charm. The video she got was perfect. 8 minutes of Damon logging into the grading portal using admin credentials. Him navigating to his own transcript, changing a B in chemistry to an A-, altering attendance records to remove 3 absences, adjusting his GPA calculation. All of it captured on camera with timestamps from the computer clock visible in the frame. But I wanted more. One video could be explained away. I needed a pattern. So I created a fake email using a burner account. Contacted Damon pretending to be a sophomore named Josh, who'd heard through friends he could help with grades. He responded within an hour. We exchanged emails for a week. He explained his rates. $75 per grade change, $150 for anything major like adding extracurriculars or fixing attendance records. He even sent screenshots of his work, before and after shots of transcripts he'd altered, testimonials from satisfied customers. The guy was running an actual business. I saved everything, created folders organized by date, cross-referenced his changes with official school records using info Lana pulled, built a timeline showing he'd accessed the system 49 times over 7 months, changed his own grades in 8 classes, helped 6 other students, added 2 extracurricular activities that didn't exist. I also had Lana photograph the computer terminal, got shots of the back of the desk where Damon always sat. Leo helped me create a spreadsheet mapping every single grade change to the dates when Lana saw him in the lab. It was damning, undeniable. The school had this awards ceremony in February. Academic honors, character awards, all the stuff that looked good for college applications. Damon was getting 3 awards: perfect attendance, academic excellence, and peer leadership. That was my deadline. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Perfect timing. The award ceremony was in the high school gym. Parents packed the bleachers. Students lined up in chairs on the floor. I sat in the back with Mom, watching Damon glad-hand his way through the crowd. He looked confident. Dad sat front row, beaming. He'd lost everything but still had his golden child. That was about to change. The ceremony started. Principal Ortega gave a speech about excellence and integrity. I had to choke back a laugh. Names got called. Academic honors first. Damon received 2. Honor roll and dean's list. He walked up both times, shook hands, smiled for pictures. The applause was generous. Then, extracurricular awards. He accepted it like he deserved it. Finally, character awards. Peer leadership. They called Damon's name, described him as someone who demonstrates consistent moral character and helps fellow students succeed. Yeah, right. Damon walked up one last time. Bigger certificate. Photo op with Principal Ortega. Dad was practically glowing. I stood up, walked down to the floor. Approached Principal Ortega while she was still on stage. She recognized me from the transfer paperwork. Hunter, right? What can I do for you? I have something you need to see immediately. About academic fraud and unauthorized access to school systems. The gym got quieter. Damon's face went white. I pulled the USB drive from my pocket. It's all on here. Video evidence, email records, screenshots, timestamps. 7 months of documented grade manipulation and system access. Principal Ortega took the drive. Her expression shifted from confused to alarmed. What exactly are you alleging? That Damon Parker has been accessing the grading portal using stolen administrator credentials. That he's altered his own academic records 49 times. That he's changed grades for 6 other students in exchange for money. That he fabricated extracurricular activities that don't exist. The gym erupted. Parents talking, students whispering. Dad stood up looking ready to commit violence. Mom stepped between us smoothly. I'd also like to request that campus security review the computers in the lab. I believe you'll find evidence of unauthorized access on Terminal 7. The dates and times are all documented on the drive. I pulled out a second USB. This drive has a detailed analysis cross-referencing when my witness saw him in the computer lab with the video evidence and grade changes. Everything matches. Principal Ortega held the USB like it might explode. I need to review this immediately. She looked at Damon. You need to come with me. Now. Damon's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Dad started toward the stage, but 2 security guards materialized out of nowhere. Mom had called ahead, warned them there might be a disruption. Mr. Parker, you need to stay seated. This is a school matter. That's my son, and he's being called to the principal's office. You'll be notified. They escorted Damon out through a side door. Principal Ortega followed. The ceremony completely derailed. Parents demanding explanations, students recording on their phones, teachers trying to restore order. I walked back to my seat next to Mom. She was smiling. The fallout was spectacular. Principal Ortega reviewed the evidence that night with the district IT director and the superintendent. They confirmed everything. By midnight, they'd called an emergency school board meeting for the next morning. Leo's cousin kept me updated through texts. Damon was suspended immediately pending investigation. The 6 students he'd helped got called in for questioning the next day. 2 confessed immediately, throwing Damon under the bus to save themselves. 3 tried lying, but the evidence was bulletproof. 1 actually thanked the administration for catching them before college applications went out. The IT director pulled the school's backup logs. Every single change Damon had made was documented. They could see his original grades, what he changed them to, the exact date and time. His real GPA was 2.8. The fake one he'd created was 3.9. He'd fabricated 17 separate grade changes, deleted 21 absences, and added participation in clubs that didn't exist. The kid had literally invented an entire academic career. The school board voted unanimously to expel Damon, effective immediately. They also referred the case to the county prosecutor for potential charges related to unauthorized computer access and fraud. Damon's college acceptances got rescinded. All 4 schools. 1 sent a letter stating explicitly that academic dishonesty was grounds for permanent ban from future applications. That letter got leaked somehow. Leo swears it wasn't us. The 6 students got varying punishments. 3 got expelled. 2 got suspended for the rest of the semester. 1 got academic probation. All their grades got reverted to the original marks. 2 college applications got destroyed. But here's the best part. The investigation didn't stop at school. The prosecutor's office got involved. They seized Damon's laptop, his phone, everything. Found evidence of the email scheme, the payments, all of it. Built a case for computer fraud, identity theft, and theft by deception. Damon ended up pleading guilty to reduced charges, got sentenced to 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service, and permanent mark on his record. The felony charge got dropped to a misdemeanor as part of the plea deal, but it was still enough to follow him forever. Meanwhile, Dad was dealing with his own problems. The assault charges Carl had filed were moving through the system. Dad's lawyer wanted to plead it down, but Mom's lawyer Ruth blocked it. She wanted this on record. Permanent. Dad ended up pleading no contest to assault and battery. Got 1 year probation, mandatory anger management classes every Thursday for 6 months, and a permanent protective order keeping him 500 feet away from me. The judge was not sympathetic. You beat your 13-year-old son bloody because you believed a lie and then threw him into a blizzard to die. The only reason you're not doing jail time is because your ex-wife requested leniency for your other son's sake. Don't test my patience. The divorce finalized 6 months after Mom filed, right on schedule with Michigan's mandatory waiting period. Mom got the house sale money, half his retirement, both cars, everything. Dad got to keep his tools and his truck. He also got stuck with Damon's legal fees, restitution payments to the school district, and $3,000 in attorney fees from the failed custody battle. I heard through Leo that Dad and Damon were living in a 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat in the bad part of town. Thin walls, roaches, heat that barely worked. Dad had to get a second job at a convenience store, working overnight shifts to cover child support and legal bills. Lost his benefits at the body shop when he dropped to part-time. Leo saw him once late at night on a Tuesday, looking like he'd aged 20 years and 6 months. Damon was working fast food, coming home smelling like fryer grease, trying to save up for community college since no 4-year school would touch him with a 10-foot pole now. Leo's cousin saw him at the mall once. She said he pretended not to see her. His car got repossessed in May. Started taking the bus to work. The body shop started losing customers too. Word got around about what Dad did. Small town, big mouths. Ruth made sure the police report wasn't sealed. Some of his longtime clients stopped bringing their cars in. Said they didn't want to support someone who'd do that to his own kid. The watch thing finally came out too. During the divorce proceedings, Ruth subpoenaed records and questioned Damon under oath during a deposition. When directly questioned, Damon admitted it. Said he'd taken the watch planning to pawn it for cash. When he realized he couldn't sell it without ID showing it was his, he smashed it and blamed me instead. Dad apparently didn't speak to him for 2 weeks after that deposition. The house sold in July, after the divorce was final. Mom used the money to pay off her car, build an emergency fund, and put a down payment on a small house in a better school district. I started at the new school after spring break, made friends fast, joined the music program, started playing drums in a band with some seniors who needed a backup drummer. We weren't great, but we had fun. My grades improved without the constant stress. Started getting A's and B's consistently. Made honor roll that semester. Mom and I were eating dinner one night in May when her phone rang. She looked at the number and frowned. "It's your father," she answered on speaker. "What do you want, Dennis?" Dad's voice sounded tired, defeated. "I want to talk to Hunter, just for a minute." "No. Please, I just want to apologize." Mom looked at me. I shook my head. "You heard him. He doesn't want to talk to you. You lost that right when you put your hands on him. I know I screwed up. I know I believed Damon when I should have believed Hunter. I know I destroyed our family. I just want a chance to say I'm sorry. You can say sorry to the check you're sending every month. That's the only relationship you have with us now." She hung up, blocked his number, looked at me. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm good." And I was. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about surviving. Becoming someone Dad and Damon said I'd never be. I graduated high school with honors. Got accepted to a state university on academic scholarship. Majored in music education. Figured if someone had believed in me earlier, I could be that person for some other kid who needed it. Mom came to my graduation. Cried during my speech. Took about 1,000 pictures. Told me she was proud of me at least 50 times that day. Carl and Amy came too. Leo and his whole family. They'd become family in the ways that mattered. The kind who showed up when things got hard. I never saw Dad or Damon again. They were just background noise in a story about surviving. And I was done letting them take up space in my head. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something they said you'd never have and living well enough that they become irrelevant. That's what Mom and I did. And honestly, we're doing pretty great. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.